Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the massive global context of the 2026 FIFA World Cup opening ceremony out in Los Angeles. We're talking about that absolute powerhouse performance by Lisa, Anitta, and Rema, and unpacking their anthem, which is quite literally titled Goals. You know, when you bring three absolute titans of global pop, Latin music, and Afrobeats onto a stage that's being watched by billions, you better believe every single word, beat, and stylistic choice is engineered for maximum impact. So we're going to look closely at the lyrics of this performance to understand exactly what kind of message they're broadcasting to the world. It's a really fascinating study in pop culture messaging, so let's just get right into it.
Okay, let's start with this incredibly kinetic, highly repetitive hook that immediately sets the tone for the whole stadium-shaking anthem. My body, my fit, my friends, my whip. I mean, just say that out loud. It's rhythmic, it's percussive, and it is absolutely impossible to ignore. In a performance designed for a colossal sports arena in LA, this line operates like a total rallying cry. It doesn't build slowly at all. It just drops you right into the center of these artists' world. They repeat this chant over and over, anchoring the song and making sure this exact mantra gets completely stuck in the heads of that massive global audience.
But think about it for a second, because there's actually an incredible inherent contradiction happening here. With a global soccer tournament as the backdrop, which is, a space historically dominated by talk of athletic prowess, team strategy, and national pride, you really have to ask yourself why the lyrical focus of this opening ceremony is entirely on personal swagger instead of the sport itself. Like, there is literally no mention of a ball, a field, or a trophy anywhere. Instead, the focus is turned entirely inward, celebrating the individual. It represents this massive cultural shift in how global sporting events are using pop stars. They aren't just background entertainment anymore. They're the main characters, projecting their own distinct universes right onto the pitch.
Which brings us to Section 1, redefining the word goals. Let's look at how they create this brilliant dual meaning.
We're dealing with two very different definitions here. So, number one is the literal act of scoring in the FIFA World Cup. And number two is that pervasive pop culture slang for the ultimate aspiration, like relationship goals or career goals. So, while the players are out there trying to score actual points on the pitch, the artists are repeatedly chanting, "Yes, I'm goals, goals, goals." They're completely redefining the word into a statement of ultimate personal aspiration. They aren't chasing the goal, they're declaring that they literally are the goal. It's just a brilliant play on words that totally bridges the gap between internet culture and sports culture.
Moving on to Section 2, aesthetics and the squad. Let's break down this ultimate aspiration.
The lyrics here brilliantly illustrate the absolute core of their swagger. Just think about this list. First, they're proudly hyping up their own physical appearance, the body. Then, they're highlighting their high-fashion clothing, the fit. Next, they elevate their inner circle, the friends. And finally, they flaunt their luxury cars, the whip. They cycle through these four elements in incredibly rapid succession. It's basically a checklist of modern status symbols. And by putting friends right next to fit and whip, they're actually elevating their squad to the level of a luxury asset. It tells us that having a tight, top-tier community is just as crucial to their whole aesthetic as an expensive car. And that leads us right into their intense focus on unapologetic vanity and confidence. I mean, the lyrics spell it out perfectly. "Me and my girls, we got our clothes the way you love it. I look so good." They actually go on to declare that they look good from the skin under their clothes all the way from their head to their toes. This constant repetition of aesthetics cements a message of absolute, unshakable self-confidence. The coolest part? They aren't asking for validation from that stadium crowd at all. They're simply informing them of a fact. They know they look good, their crew knows they look good, and they are owning that massive space with complete playful authority. All right, Section 3, the cost of living. Let's explore the reality of this extreme wealth. So there's a really massive juxtaposition in the lyrics here. On one hand, we have this universal question, how much it cost? But on the other hand, we have the artist's response, "I don't know what's a lot." This complete financial apathy perfectly highlights the totally carefree, luxurious nature of the lifestyle they're portraying. When you hit the absolute pinnacle of global pop stardom, the whole concept of a price tag completely loses its meaning. They are entirely detached from the financial anxieties that define everyday life for the rest of us, projecting this aura of effortless, almost unbelievable opulence.
And they emphasize this point with some very specific, heavy-hitting slang. When they sing 40 band is a drop in a bucket, I love it, they are casually tossing around some massive financial numbers. Now, a band in this context refers to $1,000, so 40 bands is $40,000. By calling that huge amount a mere drop in a bucket, they're establishing the sheer dizzying scale of the wealth they're operating with, which is pretty wild, especially when half the stadium is probably just trying to afford a $20 hot dog, right? It's a classic hip-hop and pop music flex, adapted here for the biggest sporting stage on earth, just to remind everyone exactly who they're dealing with.
This financial dominance is further reinforced when they talk about wanting to buy out the club. Again, consider the setting for a second. They're performing in a massive, open-air Los Angeles sports venue, yet the lyrical imagery transports us straight to an exclusive VIP nightlife experience. They're juxtaposing the bright, daylight reality of a soccer pitch with the neon-lit velvet rope exclusivity of buying out an entire nightclub. It really speaks to a lifestyle where they dictate the terms of their environment, no matter where they actually are.
Now for Section 4, an anthem for empowerment. Let's look at how this all acts as a modern blueprint. When we pull all of these elements together, we find three totally distinct pillars making up this high-energy hype. First up, the mindset. I live in a moment, I do what I want, I worry about nothing. That is a mindset of total liberation. Second, the aesthetics. I look so good from my head to my toes. Just absolute, pure self-assurance. And third, status. Buy out the club. 40 band is a drop. Limitless financial freedom. By hammering these themes over and over during the performance, Lisa, Anitta, and Rema aren't just putting on a great show, they're genuinely offering a blueprint for a highly confident, completely unbothered way of living. And they top off all this empowering energy with some incredibly unique, hype-driven phrasing like, "Anybody know I'm the one, Eneon is my temperature light-up run." Now, okay, while that might read as a bit unconventional or abstract on paper, in the context of a massive stadium performance, it is all about projecting a red-hot vibe that completely defies traditional logic. It's about feeling the temperature rise, generating heat, and lighting up the run. It prioritizes rhythm, energy, and an explosive atmosphere over standard dictionary definitions, which perfectly matches the kinetic, high-stakes energy of a World Cup kickoff. So to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, thought-provoking idea. We just analyzed a performance taking place right at the epicenter of competitive sports, a place where the entire world is obsessed with the literal score on the board. But when Lisa, Anitta, and Rema step onto that pitch in LA, they completely flip the script. They prove that sometimes the most captivating game you can play is simply owning exactly who you are, celebrating your crew, and living completely unbothered. In a world obsessed with the score, isn't unapologetic self-confidence the ultimate goal? It's a fascinating redefinition of winning, broadcast to billions. Thanks for exploring this with me today, and I highly encourage you to look at the next big pop culture moment with this exact same analytical lens.